George Larson's been asked to come and speak about the acquisition of the MDA project, and it took a lot of begging to get George to come up and speak. He's very shy, but I was persuasive enough to be able to get him to do this morning. I think he's got a technical assistant that's going to help him get his program set up, at least I hope so. And with that, I'd like to introduce George Larson. George is the broker and co-owner of, with Don Baker, who's here this morning, of Larson Baker. George has over 30 years of experience in commercial real estate. Larson Baker owns 45 properties, retail and office, 2.4 million square feet. George has an MDA from Tempe Normal Teachers College, somewhere up north, and he's a senior emeritus instructor with CCIM. George?
Gina, get us up. Hi, everybody. You may have remembered about 8 or 9 months ago, I was asked to make a presentation to this very same group about the development process that we use for retail development. Well, it had got us thinking about what goes into the development that we've done over the course of time, and we ended up with phases. That's sort of humorous, but actually following what really happened. So before we go into the MDA, let's look at the Larson Baker development cycle or phase. As you recall, if you were here 8 months ago, the first one is enthusiasm. The second one is disillusionment. Then comes panic. Then comes a search for the guilty. Then comes punishment of the innocent. And if we are still in business at the end of that cycle, we get some praise and glory for the developers. Keep that in mind as we go over the MDA deal we're going to do right now. Because while I believe that our experience and wisdom is enough to say this time is different, a guy a couple hundred years ago said this: four most dangerous words in the English language are, this time is different. So, MDA building, here's how the deal went down. Jim Marion and Juan Terran came to us and told us that the property called the MDA building was going to go on the market last November. Rick Kleiner and Picor did a great job of representing the seller, the MDA. We looked at this building and we said, boy, this is really cool. 84,000 square feet, LEED certified, foothills location. The rumor was it cost over $400 a square foot to build. So we entered into negotiations through Picor for the property. We learned this. We learned that the MDA had the building unpriced. The asset was unpriced. That they were motivated. They said that they had to, or wanted to have this building bought all cash with a very short contingency due diligence period. Our first offer after looking at this was $9,100,000. We learned about 10 or 12 days later, so they were motivated fast. The MDA came back and said, while there were 5 initial bidders, they were down to 3 bidders, and they asked us to reprice. As you know, they call that the best and final. So we were asked to reprice the property at a best and final price. We came back a week later at a little bit over $10 million, but we said we wanted all the furniture, fixtures, and equipment that was in there, which was quite sophisticated, and we wanted them to stay for 2 years in 20,000 square feet at $24 a square foot. So we started the process back and forth, and we were the lucky people who put it in escrow at those kinds of numbers. Now we started our due diligence period. We were a little bit handicapped because of a confidentiality clause. We couldn't call on our office broker friends to give us some help on how this building would work. It's going to be empty ultimately when MDA moves out in a year or two. We learned 3 things. We learned first that, contrary to what we thought, to demise a building that was a single tenant building into 3 or 4 or 5 tenants, 20,000 feet each, was going to cost closer to $70 a square foot than the $30 or $40 a foot that we thought. Second, our land use consultant said, you know, this building is parked adequately for a single purpose user, but it is not parked adequately for multiple tenants. You don't have enough parking. We had about 240 parking spaces, and the county said you'll need 270 or so. And third, we knew that the cost of putting in parking additions was going to be, we learned, it was going to be $500,000 to $700,000. So we had to have a little talk with the MDA sellers, We asked them if they would go back to the original price of $9,100,000. They said yes, they would, and they stay for 1 year in 20,000 square feet at about $25 a foot rent, full service. So, where do we go next? We go to the enthusiasm phase. Remember those 6 phases? Well, that's enough of that, Gina. Hey, we loved the building. We loved the look. We loved everything about it. We loved the view. Don Baker said, George, if the offices don't work out, I'll consider moving my house up here if you'll take the house in trade. He loved living up there, 84,000 square feet. We found that we had plans that we could do a better streetscape, a better frontscape so you could see the building better. We had some people that are looking for it. Andy immediately contacted Tesla and said, look guys, if you build your battery plant there, we'll be called Batteries Plus and you can have the whole office building. However, there's another phase that usually comes along in our building. So now we've started I didn't go through, stay right there, Gina, stay on this one. Here's what it looks like on paper. How many of you have made money on paper in your real estate business? We start with the fact that we ought to be able to get the net operating income of about $1,345,000 in 3 or 4 years, based on a $28 a square foot. It's really nice office space. We don't know if we can do it or not. That would give us a value of about $216 a square foot. If you look at all those costs that we put in, we think it might cost us $12 million plus to be finished having the building up to 90% occupancy. Yippee, we could make as much as $5 million. As they say, we're rich on paper. But let's look at the reality phase. We know that we don't get away free. Here's the real facts. We're 80% vacant. The office plants are dying. The new parking lot improvements cost more than the first 10 shopping centers Don and I bought in the 1990s. And our office broker's friend said, you bought a dinosaur. Don't you realize everybody wants to move downtown? No one wants to be in the foothills. They want collaborative space. What's collaborative space look like? You got a ping pong table in the damn place. You got slides. You got all kinds of rock bands. Fletcher McCuster's got a bandstand in the middle of his office. He's got a basketball hoop. So, all of you kind listeners late in this morning, think about this. Ask me back in 2 years and I'll tell you where the rest of those phases of the development went. Thank you.